A waitress in a small Montana diner was cleaning up after closing when she found the receipt Robin Williams had left. The meal came to $32.50. She looked at the tip line and froze. Robin had written $10,000. She thought it was a mistake. Maybe he meant $100 and added too many zeros. But then she saw the note he'd written at the bottom. For your dream, don't wait. She had no idea how Robin knew. She'd only mentioned her dream once, in passing, while refilling his coffee. Her name was Sarah Bennett, and she'd been working at the Copper Peak Diner in Missoula, Montana for 5 years. It was 1997, and Sarah was 28 years old, working double shifts 6 days a week, saving every penny she could. She had a dream that felt impossible. Nursing school. Sarah wanted to be a nurse more than anything. But tuition was expensive, and between rent, bills and helping support her younger brother through college, saving for nursing school was painfully slow. At her current rate, she'd have enough saved in about 4 more years. She'd be 32 by the time she could start. And that was if nothing went wrong, if no unexpected expenses came up, if she could maintain this exhausting schedule for 4 more years. But Sarah kept working, kept saving, kept hoping. On a Tuesday morning in March, a man walked into the Copper Peak Diner around 7 a.m. Sarah was the only waitress on duty during the slow morning shift. The man was wearing jeans, a jacket and a baseball cap pulled low. He sat at the counter. Sarah grabbed a coffee pot and headed over. Good morning. Coffee? Please, sir? The man said, smiling. Sarah poured his coffee and pulled out her order pad. What can I get you? What's good here? He asked. Everything, Sarah said with a grin. But the blueberry pancakes are my favorite. Sold. Blueberry pancakes, scrambled eggs, bacon. Coming right up. Sarah put his order in with the cook and went back to wiping down tables. The diner was quiet, just 2 other customers, both reading newspapers. When the man's food came up, Sarah brought it over. Here you go, can I get you anything else? This looks perfect, thank you. Sarah refilled his coffee. The man ate slowly, reading a book he'd pulled from his jacket. Sarah appreciated customers who didn't need constant attention. She had side work to do, refilling salt shakers, rolling silverware, prepping for the lunch shift. When the man was about halfway through his meal, he called Sarah over. This is great, you weren't kidding about the pancakes. Sarah smiled. Told you, you from around here? Just passing through, he said. Driving across the country, stopping in small towns. This place has good energy. We like it, Sarah said. Lived here my whole life. Ever want to leave? He asked. Sarah laughed. Sometimes, but I'm working on something. Saving up for nursing school. Yeah, that's great. How much longer? Sarah shrugged. Few more years, if I'm lucky. It's slow going, but I'll get there. The man nodded thoughtfully. I'm sure you will. You seem determined. Have to be, Sarah said. Then another customer signaled for a refill, and Sarah moved on. She thought nothing of the conversation. Just friendly small talk with a nice customer. She'd had 1,000 conversations like it. The man finished his meal, left cash on the counter for the bill, and walked out. Sarah was in the back helping the cook when she heard the door close. When she came back out, she saw the cash, exact change for the meal plus what looked like a normal tip. She cleared his plate and wiped down the counter. The morning shift ended at 2 p.m. Sarah's replacement arrived, and Sarah started her closing duties. She had to count her receipts, organize them, and make sure everything balanced. She gathered all the receipts from her shift and sat at a back table to sort them. Credit card receipts in one pile, cash sales in another. That's when she found it. The man in the baseball cap had paid with a credit card, not cash. The cash on the counter had just been to make it look like he'd paid that way. The actual receipt was in the credit card pile. Sarah pulled it out and looked at it. Meal total, $32.50. Tip line, $10,000. Sarah stared at the numbers. Her brain couldn't process what she was seeing. $10,000. That couldn't be right. She looked at the signature on the receipt. Robin Williams. Sarah's hand started shaking. The man in the baseball cap had been Robin Williams. And he'd just left her a $10,000 tip. She looked at the tip line again, sure she was misreading it. But no. $10,000. Written clearly. Then she saw the note at the bottom of the receipt, written in small letters. For your dream, don't wait. Sarah sat there, frozen, staring at the receipt. Her mind was racing. This couldn't be real. This had to be a mistake. Maybe he meant to write $100 and added too many zeros. But the signature was clear, Robin Williams. And the note, for your dream, don't wait. He'd remembered. She'd mentioned nursing school once, for 30 seconds, while pouring his coffee. Just casual conversation. She hadn't asked for anything. Hadn't hinted at needing money. Just mentioned her dream. And he'd remembered. And he'd done this. Sarah started crying. Not quiet tears but deep, overwhelmed sobs. The cook came out of the kitchen. Sarah? What's wrong? She couldn't speak. She just handed him the receipt. The cook looked at it. His eyes went wide. Is this real? I don't know, Sarah managed to say. I think so? The cook called the owner, Dale Morrison. Dale came down to the diner within 20 minutes. He looked at the receipt, looked at Sarah, looked at the receipt again. We need to verify this, Dale said carefully. I'll call the credit card company. They called. The charge was legitimate. Robin Williams credit card. $10,032.50, approved and processed. Dale hung up the phone and looked at Sarah. It's real. Sarah started crying again. Dale, a tough former Marine who rarely showed emotion, had tears in his eyes too. What did you say to him? Dale asked. Nothing. We talked for maybe a minute. He asked if I ever wanted to leave town. I said I was saving for nursing school. That was it? Just normal conversation. Dale shook his head in amazement. He listened to 1 minute of conversation and decided to change your life. The cook, who'd been watching this whole exchange, said quietly. That's not a tip, that's a gift. That's him telling her to go chase her dream right now, not in 4 years. The cook was right. $10,000 was almost exactly what Sarah needed for nursing school tuition. With what she'd already saved, she could start that fall. Sarah looked at the note again. For your dream, don't wait. Robin hadn't just given her money. He'd given her permission to stop waiting, stop putting her life on hold. He'd eliminated the obstacle between her and her dream. Over the next few days, the story spread through Missoula. Not because Sarah told everyone, she was actually trying to keep it quiet, but because Dale and the cook couldn't stop talking about it. A local newspaper reporter heard about it and called Sarah. She was hesitant to do an interview, feeling like making it public would somehow diminish the gift. But the reporter convinced her that the story might inspire people. The article ran with the headline, Robin Williams leaves $10,000 tip at local diner, changes waitress's life. The story got picked up by larger papers. Then national news. Suddenly Sarah was getting calls from news programs wanting interviews. Sarah agreed to a few, always emphasizing the same points. Robin had listened to a stranger's dream during casual conversation and had acted on it. He hadn't been looking for publicity. He'd left cash on the counter to make it look like he'd paid that way, probably hoping Sarah wouldn't connect the generous tip to him until he was long gone. He'd written for your dream, instead of his name, focusing on her goal rather than his generosity. He didn't want credit, Sarah said in one interview. He wanted me to go to nursing school. That's what mattered to him. When asked if she'd heard from Robin after the story went public, Sarah shook her head. No, and I don't expect to. That wasn't what this was about for him. He saw someone working toward something good, and he removed the obstacle. Mission accomplished. Sarah applied to nursing school that summer. She was accepted for the fall semester. The $10,000 from Robin, combined with what she'd saved, covered tuition, books and living expenses for the first year. On her first day of nursing school, Sarah carried the receipt in her backpack. She'd made a copy and framed the original, but she kept a copy with her as a reminder. Someone had believed in her dream enough to invest in it. Nursing school was hard. There were days Sarah wondered if she could make it through. On those days, she'd look at the receipt copy. For your dream, don't wait. She didn't wait. She pushed through. 2 years later, Sarah graduated with her nursing degree. She got a job at a hospital in Missoula, working in the emergency room. She loved it. Every day, she helped people in crisis, used her skills to ease suffering, made a difference in her community. This was what she was meant to do, and she was doing it years earlier than she'd thought possible because Robin Williams had listened to a waitress's dream. Sarah tried to find a way to thank Robin. She wrote letters to his agent, but never heard back. She suspected he'd probably asked his team not to forward mail related to his generous acts. He clearly didn't do these things for recognition. In 2001, 4 years after the tip, Sarah was working a night shift in the ER when a patient came in, a young man who'd been in a car accident. He wasn't critically injured, but he was scared and in pain. While Sarah was treating him, he asked what had made her want to become a nurse. Sarah thought about the question. She could give a simple answer, or she could tell the truth. She told him about Robin Williams. About the $10,000 tip on a $32 meal. About the note that said, "For your dream, don't wait." "He gave me the chance to do this," Sarah said. "To be here, helping you right now, years earlier than I thought possible. He invested in a stranger's dream, and now I get to live that dream every day." The young man listened, clearly moved. "That's incredible." "It is," Sarah agreed. "And it taught me something. When you see someone working towards something good, and you have the ability to help. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for the perfect moment, just help." After her shift, Sarah thought about that conversation. She'd been so focused on thanking Robin, on trying to express her gratitude. But maybe the best way to honor what he'd done was to do the same for others. Sarah started looking for opportunities to help people chase their dreams. She couldn't give out $10,000 tips. She was a nurse, not a millionaire. But she could help in other ways. She started mentoring young women interested in nursing, helping them navigate the application process, sharing study materials, offering encouragement. She began volunteering at a free clinic, providing care to people who couldn't afford it. When she saw someone at the diner where she still occasionally ate breakfast, the same Copper Peak diner, who looked like they were struggling, she'd pay for their meal anonymously. Small acts, nothing like Robin's grand gesture. But acts that said, "I see you. Your dreams matter. Don't wait." When Robin Williams died in 2014, Sarah was working her shift at the hospital. A colleague told her the news. Sarah had to step away to cry. She'd never met Robin, really. Their interaction had been one brief breakfast, casual conversation while she refilled his coffee. But he'd changed her life completely. Sarah requested time off to attend a memorial service the community was holding. She brought the framed receipt with her and shared her story with others who'd gathered to remember Robin. Robin Williams believed in dreams, Sarah said. Not just his own, but other people's. He believed in them so much that he invested in them. He saw a waitress who wanted to be a nurse, and he made it happen. Not someday. Not eventually. Immediately. For your dream, don't wait. She looked around at the crowd. "He taught me that when you have the ability to help someone achieve something good, you do it. Right then. You don't overthink it, you don't wait. You just help. And then you step back and let them live their dream." Sarah continued working as an ER nurse for another decade. She eventually became a nursing supervisor, training new nurses, passing on not just medical skills but the philosophy Robin had taught her: see people's potential, help them reach it. She kept the receipt framed in her office. Visitors would ask about it, and Sarah would tell them the story. Every time, people were moved. Many left determined to help someone else pursue their dream. In 2024, Sarah was asked to speak at a nursing school graduation. She brought the receipt with her. 27 years ago, Sarah told the graduating nurses, "Robin Williams left me a $10,000 tip on a $32 breakfast. He'd overheard me mention I was saving for nursing school. That tip changed my life." She held up the framed receipt. But it wasn't really about the money. It was about the message: for your dream, don't wait. Robin was telling me not to put my life on hold. Not to wait for the perfect moment. To pursue my dream right now. Sarah looked at the graduates. You've all just spent years working toward this dream. You didn't wait. You did it, and now you're going to spend your careers helping other people. Remember that. Remember that you have the power to change lives, just by seeing people's potential and believing in them. The receipt that Sarah had found that day in 1997, the one she thought was a mistake, the one that had seemed impossible, had become a symbol of what's possible when someone believes in your dream. Robin Williams never knew that Sarah became an ER supervisor who trained hundreds of nurses. He never knew about the mentoring, the volunteering, the anonymous meals she paid for, the ripple effect of his kindness spreading through her community. But maybe he didn't need to know. Maybe that was the point. He'd seen someone working toward something good, and he'd helped. Not for recognition, but because he could. Because he believed dreams shouldn't wait when they don't have to. For your dream, don't wait. 7 words on a receipt. 1 breakfast conversation. $10,000 that changed one life, which changed hundreds of lives, which will continue changing lives for decades to come. That's what Robin Williams did at a small Montana diner on a Tuesday morning. He listened, he remembered. He acted, and he changed everything.